Our scripture for today comes from the book of 1 John chapter 3, verses 1, 2, and 3. It says, "See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know him. Beloved, we are God's children now. What we will be has not yet been revealed. What we do know is this: when he is revealed, we will be like him, for we will see him as he is. And all who have this hope in him purify themselves, just as he is pure." The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
What powerful words we've just heard from the Bible today, from that first letter of John. Beloved, we are God's children now. See what love God has given us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. Do you feel it? You are a child of God. I am a child of God. We are children of God here and now in this world. It's not just a passive thing. This is who we are. This is our lives, our commitment, our witness, our passion. This is our faith lived out. And this is our deepest inner reality. We are children of God. This text from 1 John reminds us that we're empowered by the love of God, called to live intentionally in the world as God's children, living the love of Jesus Christ in the world around us. Because being children of God isn't just about us. As those who embrace God, live out our baptismal covenant, as those who are connected with one another in this family of faith, it's not just what we think inside our heads, and it's not just about us. It's about what we do with our lives and what we do with and for the world. Beloved, we are God's children now. Our vision statement here at Clarendon United Methodist Church reflects this awareness that we have work to do in God's world today, God's beloved world, filled with all whom he has created. Our vision statement says that we are a people who offer the living love of Jesus Christ by embracing all, sharing Christ, and serving others. Let's hear that again. We offer the living love of Jesus Christ by embracing all, sharing Christ, and serving others. That's the statement we adopted. That's kind of our DNA as a church. It's who we seek to be. It's the vision we understand God has set before us. And we need to live that vision out because we are God's children. When? Now. We've been looking at some key ways throughout this last month that this vision statement guides us and that God's vision guides us. Our attempt to discern where God is leading us as a church, how it guides us and our day-to-day lives. It's actually been really inspirational to me. I don't know if y'all, those of you who have really, been here for them or seen them online, have you been amazed by all that we do in the church? It's amazing. We've been looking at key ways in which we live out that vision throughout October. We focused and we celebrated throughout the month on some of the significant aspects of our ministry in order to remember more clearly who we are as God's people here in this community of faith. You might say, we looked at our DNA as a church. We pulled apart the strands. We checked out the chromosomes of who we are. On the first Sunday in October, this is your little crib notes so that you can remember what we talked about. On the first Sunday, we affirmed that we're a church that's all about inclusion as we celebrated the anniversary of becoming a reconciling congregation. It's our responsibility as Methodists, not just to be observers, but to personally take action to combat injustices in the world. So this is why in 2018 we became a reconciling church. As such, we're working toward the full inclusion of all LGBTQ plus persons throughout the life and leadership of the church. This year, that meant taking part in the Pride Parade in DC, bearing witness to God's profound love for everyone, including people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. We also held a wonderful Pride concert in June, welcoming neighbors and friends in our area to a program of beautiful handbell music with an inspiring speaker that really opened our hearts and minds, and lots of good fellowship with folks who we hadn't met before. It was a wonderful thing. But of course, our commitment to inclusion is best lived out every single day as we provide a safe and loving and welcoming place where everyone knows that they are loved by God and fully included in the church's life and work. We also focused last month on this church's work to build a new generation of disciples through our fabulous youth choir that gives young people the chance to bear witness to God's grace at work in the world, through our strong educational ministries, leading youth to make a lifelong commitment to the way of Jesus Christ, through our growing children's ministries, and they are growing, which engage the youngest in our midst in learning about God and sharing their faith with others. Two of the folks who were supposed to join the church today, but sadly are called away because of a death in their family, came to us through the children's choir, through their child saying, I want to become part of the children's choir. And they said, where? Oh, at the church. What church? Where, but they had heard about Miss Lisa's children's choir, and they became part of it. And it is so exciting to have folks coming into the family of faith, people who were saying, I have a need, and we have a need in our life, let's plug in. And then their child is the one who found the place. Amazing. Our work to build a new generation of discipleships also continues through the outreach of our children and youth, living out their faith with compassion and love, bearing themselves as children of God, children of grace at work in the world, taking their faith seriously. The world needs a new generation of disciples of Jesus Christ. And at Clarendon United Methodist Church, our children and youth find a place where they can flourish and grow. Last month, we also focused on our work to combat systemic racial injustice. We celebrated the work that we are now doing through our long-established concert series, all those many concerts throughout the year, which now we're intentionally working through them to bring underrepresented composers and artists whose talent and work is historically excluded to the forefront. These concerts now feature a much more racially diverse group of musicians and composers to enable us to intentionally reach out to members of our community from different racial backgrounds as we seek to build relationships and understanding so that we can be allies together in pursuit of justice for all. Now, we don't have good pictures to share of our wonderful or at least I don't, of our wonderful tutoring program in Hoffman Boston Elementary School. If y'all have some pictures, please share them with me. So next time I talk about it, I can find some. We don't have them also of the behind-the-scenes work, kind of the committee work that was done for racial justice, groundbreaking efforts our church has undertaken and gotten a good reputation for in Arlington County in order to partner with Arlington Thrive and with Little Beginnings, the child development center that operates out of our building, in this partnership to begin offering subsidized childcare right here at Clarendon United Methodist Church in our facility. Our trustees said, we want to be stewards of this building. This is what we have influence over, this building. Well, let's make it a place where subsidized childcare is offered as our work toward racial justice. We're taking seriously our call to embrace Christ, embrace all, share Christ, and serve others. I'm so sorry. To embrace all, to share Christ, and to serve others. On the last Sunday in October, last week, we celebrated the outreach ministries of the church, talking about the garden in our yard, the plot against hunger, and the way that it contributes to our work with Arlington. Each Saturday morning, we open our building as a food distribution site. We talked about our amazing annual 5K fun run, the bunny hop, that is really a part of our DNA now. I'm feeling the ears starting to sprout. Do you all feel it happening? You know, they're growing. We won't have to buy any extra ones in the future because we'll all be showing up with them at the bunny hop. But this year it involved about 650 participants, 650 people in our yard doing a bunny hop, doing a 5K run that raised $30,000. It says $27,500 there, but I believe it was $30,000 was the final total that was given to Bridges to Independence, that fabulous helping agency dealing with housing insecurity and economic instability here in our own neighborhood. Amazing work. And that's only one of the things we're doing with Bridges to Independence. But of course, our list of outreach ministries doesn't stop there. We've raised thousands for Arlington Thrive through our Christmas tree sales. We've continued to work in the Democratic Republic of Congo this year, helping to repair the floor and roof of a school in a region where we've been in ministry since the 1940s. We've provided care and support for adoptive families in our area through United Methodist Family Services. We're now making serious connections with New Hope Housing and its shelter on Columbia Pike, and the list goes on and on. I think I need to sit down for a minute. It's a wild ride we're on, isn't it? Because we are children of God when? Now. Now is when we serve. We don't just worry about our future. We live into the reign of God today. We take it seriously at Clarendon United Methodist Church. We are about the living love of Jesus Christ at work here in our midst, and living love that is to be shared in thought, word, and deed with the world around us. This Sunday is All Saints Sunday, definitely one of John Wesley's favorite days of the year, when we remember those who have gone before us in the faith, who have lit the lamp of faith for us. On a day like this, we remember that we ourselves are the saints alive at work in the church today. They call the saints who have gone before us, who have died in the faith, they call them the saints triumphant. And I don't wear this word comfortably, but I understand its meaning. They call us the saints militant, not like at war, although that kind of is what militant means, but the saints at work, taking it seriously, doing it, committing ourselves to it today. We are saints in the world today. Not perfect people. John Wesley says we're always growing in grace, moving on toward perfection. But we, as we are beloved by God, embraced by God, empowered by God to serve for God in Christ. And so we remember that there are saints yet to come. And we are to light the lamp of faith for them. This church is to live on for generations yet to come. There are those who have prepared this space, this life for us, and there are those for whom we prepare in the days to come, building up new generations of disciples year by year. We are those who build up the church and help them to see the path forward in the time to come. So we need to commit ourselves to this work. And we thought this, above all days, is a great day to focus on our commitment to God. Spending a month developing times of worship where we explore who we need to be, living out that vision, it has affected me, your pastor, your lead pastor. It's helped me to feel even more committed to the work that we do together, to the life that we share. We are to claim God's vision and to resource it for the church that is to come and for the church of today. There are so many places that call for our commitment in the world, that call us to get involved and to volunteer. We've got great volunteer services happening in Arlington County, a really good program of that. But for the work of the church to be done, we don't have Amazon grants helping. We don't, it's up to us for God's work of inclusion, of developing new disciples, of seeking and enacting justice, of reaching out to meet the basic needs of the community and the world around us. This work that God calls us to, that is at our core, that is our DNA as followers of Jesus. Only we can get that work done. So when I get all those wonderful, creative pieces of mail now that talk about all the ways in which I can support great things going on in the world, I know that there are some that I want to support, but only after I have fully done what I can to make the work of the church happen. So I tithe my income to the church. And this year, I'm going to grow that. I'm going to go beyond that because I know that we have needs in the church. We're going to have some leaders in the church talk about their commitment and also about our need. But I know that in my life, the church is where I live out my faith, up close and personal. This is where I am changed for good. This is where I live in communion with others who, just as a disciple of Jesus Christ, who help me to stay accountable to God for my own life and the work that I do, my calling to just be a person of faith in the world, to embrace other people, to serve Jesus, share the light of Christ, and then serve others in the world. The church changes you, doesn't it? And you change the church. It's one of the greatest things about being involved in a church family. You can have an influence on what we do. The gifts and graces of the church, the yearnings, the identification of the hurts and hopes of the world of this family of faith can be ways in which God uses us to affect each other's lives and the life of this family of faith. God's vision is alive in this family of faith today. The saints before us have prepared a place for us. We are the saints today who also make it possible for the future of the church to continue, that the lamp of faith may be lit in the lives of others. So, I want to share with you about the cards that we had passed out today. These are commitment cards. Now, a commitment in the church does not mean pricking your finger with blood and writing it in blood. In other words, it's a commitment that can be changed as circumstances change. As you get that $1 million bonus, you're free to change your commitment. My goodness. But, also if life circumstances make things difficult, just change it. That's fine. But it's important not to make that changeability a reason not to take that act of commitment. I spent a lot of time this week sitting down with my calculator and trying to figure out now what am I giving now? What do I want to give in the future? What am I going to do in the days to come? So I'm taking my tithe and I'm increasing it by $100 a month in order to fund the vision that we have for the church. We operate, and I think we'll hear a little bit more about this from some of our leaders, we operate in a deficit budget. Not because that's a fun thing to do, but because we're going to live into a bold vision of who we are as a family of faith. We've had a deficit budget for a few years through the pandemic, and we've met the deficit, whether through payment protection plan, the PPP grants, or last year's stunning year-end giving that brought us from a deficit into a surplus. The family of faith has taken seriously bold ministry that we seek to make possible. And now is a time for us to be bold in the year to come. We've reached out and met the pandemic needs and changed who we are as a people of faith. People online, we're so glad you can be with us online, either today on Sunday during the service, or maybe you're watching this later in the week. Incredible that we can do that. How many of you have ever watched the service online? Put your hands up. Like just about everyone, not everybody, but just about everyone. When you're in the hospital, you can see us online. We've had people do that. It's amazing. That kind of thing, though, takes boldness, not hesitance. So I believe in what we're doing. I'm increasing my pledge. And I invite you to do the same. I'd like you to just take a peek at these cards. They give you a lot of options. You can check more than one. So mine is an increase in giving. I'm going to check that. I did check that box. I plan to give online. I've been giving online for a number of years. It really helps. I checked that box. And I will be updating my online giving commitment by January 1st because if I change my pledge, I have to physically do it. You have to physically do it. There's no one in the office who can do it for you. So I hope you check that. By January 1st, I'll change my online giving to reflect the amount on the card. So, but there are things about I plan to give, but I don't know yet. We want you to still be able to commit today. If you don't know yet, you can still commit. You can say, I don't know what I'm going to give, but I'm going to confirm it later this month. I'm going to think about it for a couple weeks, and I will confirm it later this month. We'll have cards available as the month progresses. We also, I don't know if we have them today, but do we have them today online? I don't think we do. Oh, we do. They're available online through the YouTube. In the comment section, look on YouTube. There is an opportunity for you to fill out a card as well. Thank you. I just had that one piece of information I didn't quite know. So you can make an online commitment as well. You can do it through mailing it in, dropping it in. We have a baptismal bowl here. The baptismal waters, you can drop your pledge card in, and I'm going to do that very thing right now. I commit to supporting the work of this congregation by my prayers, my presence, my gifts, my service, and my witness.
Good morning. I'm Susan White. I am outgoing chair of your church council. We've been here through the pandemic. To put things online, $130,000 that the leaders of your church decided was a good investment to make during the pandemic. We stepped out in faith. Maintaining this building, maintaining the music program, one of my favorites, that costs money. So I am increasing my pledge. I'm also going to go on to Church Center online, and I'm going to give $500, and I'm going to pay the extra money that it asked me to pay to cover the credit card charge, because I want Clarendon to get all the money. So.
Okay. All right, thank you. And I'm the current finance chair, and so maybe just a few numbers. It does cost us about $70,000 a month to run this place, to do all the things you see, to have this building, the lights on, all these things. It's about $70,000 a month. And that's, it sounds like a lot, but if you take our donor pool, it's about $3,000 to $4,000 a year in terms of donor giving. So, you kind of think about what Tracy mentioned today, the kind of investments you'd make. I'm also increasing, my pledge from the last go-around. But just one other thing to mention, there's money, but there's also time. And so, myself, my wife, the kids, everybody's been involved in this church volunteering, and some of which is new financial initiatives. So one thing, if you're interested, sort of a plug, but we're looking at that empty parking lot over there and seeing how we can turn that into both a mission and financial goal to turn it into, say, affordable housing for seniors. So it's a new idea, it's a new project we're working on, but if you're interested in any kind of financial initiatives, please come to me and let me know. But that's one way we can live out both our mission, but also financially do something with an empty asset. So.
Hi, I'm Laura Watson. I'm the chair of the trustees. And as Susan mentioned, the last few years we've made significant progress with our building. We had the big dig. For decades, we had water seepage in our foundation, and it was getting to the point that we were going to have permanent building damage if we did not take it seriously and really address it. We took funds from our savings, and we made that bold and big investment. The AV that was mentioned was another bold investment. Hybrid worship, hybrid work, hybrid life is here, and you either get in the program and embrace technology, or you will be left behind. So I'm very proud that we are moving forward with the rest of the world. This year, we invested in AED to improve our safety. We have the machines that will hopefully be installed this month, and we've had training amongst our church leaders. So I am an old-fashioned leader, a giver. I have the envelope here, I have a check, but I'm just showing an example. We were talking yesterday, working at that fabulous bazaar, where we took cash there, and we also took credit cards. And I'm committing to my time and my money next year.
Thanks. I'm John White. I'm the chair of our Staff Parish Relations Committee, and that does a lot of the HR work for our church in partnership with our pastors and staff, to include understanding how we're going to pay for our staff, our wonderful staff, and our pastors. We made a decision this year for 2024 to increase the salaries and pay by 3%. You know what's going on with all the inflation. That's not an astronomical increase. Their salaries and pay, as you've heard me say before, are not astronomical. We love this church. We know all of you do. Both, we're just totally in love with and committed to this church, but especially our staff and pastors. Their tireless efforts for our spiritual growth, for the spiritual growth of all of us and our families, the music programs, the outreach, the hundreds of things that I could take up 100 minutes and talk about. It's really due to them in large part, as well as all of our lay leadership as well. But when we think about this, and I think about that, we love a lot of things. We love going to music concerts. I would even love to go to a Taylor Swift concert, but that's embarrassing to have such an old guy be a Swiftie. But we go to eat dinner. We go on vacations. We love doing that. But more than that, we love this church. We love our staff. We love our pastors. So making sure that that love comes first. And so therefore, we're also going to increase our pledge next year as an expression of our love for this church, and as Tracy said, for the future of this church and all the saints to come, including all those saints that were down here earlier for our children's message. That's what this means. I encourage you to think about that and how much the love of this church and the living love of this church really means to us.